Today's episode is straight out of a crime thriller, and trust me, you're not ready for the madness we're about to uncover. Big U, the so-called godfather of the West Coast rap scene and longtime leader of the Rollin' 60 Crips, is in scalding hot water right now. On the surface, Eugene Big U Henley painted the perfect picture of redemption. A former gang member turned community leader, launching the career of Nipsey Hussle, running a seemingly legitimate music label, and publicly preaching peace and unity in neighborhoods once torn apart by violence. To many, he was a man who had walked through the fire of LA's gang wars and come out the other side as a peacemaker. According to a jaw-dropping 107-page federal indictment, Henley wasn't just shaking hands with rappers. Behind the scenes, he was allegedly extorting athletes, intimidating artists, and bullying local businesses into coughing up cash for protection. And this wasn't some small-time, block-level extortion ring. What the feds are alleging is the existence of a full-blown mafia-style criminal enterprise operating in plain sight, led by Big U himself. Now, here's where it gets really disturbing. Henley is accused of orchestrating the kidnapping and execution of an up-and-coming rapper simply because the artist recorded a diss track. Let that sink in. Not a street betrayal, not a financial fallout, a rap song. And according to federal prosecutors, the consequences of that song were fatal. If you think that's crazy, wait till you hear Charleston White's opinion on Big U. According to him, Big U probably killed Nipsey. Shocking, right? I know. But let's not jump the gun. To really grasp how Big U got to this point, how a man once hailed as a mentor could be accused of running a criminal empire or killing one of his artists, you'll have to take a trip down to many decades ago. In the heart of Chicago's South Side, Big U's father allegedly became connected to the almighty Black P. Stone Nation, a gang so feared and organized that they blurred the line between street soldiers and political revolutionaries. That legacy didn't skip a beat. It bled directly into the next generation. When Henley's mother moved to Los Angeles in 1966, she brought her young family to South Central, a rapidly changing neighborhood that would become ground zero for the rise of LA's gang culture. It wasn't long before Henley found himself surrounded by it. By the early 1970s, the Crips had formed under leaders like Raymond Washington and Tookie Williams, and Big U wasn't just on the sidelines. He was right there in the mix. He started out repping a small crew called the Arlington Gang, led by his cousin, Chili Capone. But as tensions escalated and the streets became more volatile, that small crew would merge into a larger, more feared faction, the Rollin' 60s neighborhood Crips. And Henley's name? It started ringing bells across LA. As the 1980s hit, Big U's rise was fueled by violence and vengeance. Following his cousin's death, Henley reportedly traded his fists for firearms, building a reputation as a deadly enforcer. Stories circulated about his fearlessness, his leadership behind bars, and the iron grip he had on his neighborhood. The streets saw him as a general. Law enforcement saw him as a serious threat. He didn't just command respect, he demanded it. From jailhouse fights to brawls at legendary LA venues like the World on Wheels skating rink, Big U and his crew made their presence known in every corner of the city. In one infamous case, they reportedly turned a Run DMC concert into an all-out war zone just to show dominance, forcing venues to cancel future shows in fear of gang retaliation. And while the crack epidemic tore through black communities, Big U and the Rollin' 60s allegedly capitalized on the chaos, moving weight, expanding territory, and even planting seeds in out-of-state cities like Minneapolis and Atlanta, using his street smarts and gang ties to spread the 60s reach far beyond LA's borders. At the same time, Henley was beginning to dabble in the music world. Friends and local artists like rapper Poa LQ and eventually Corrupt of Tha Dog Pound started looking to Henley as a street-certified manager who could bring authenticity and protection to their careers. He had the respect, the muscle, and a growing influence in both the rap game and the streets. But all that came crashing down in 1991. Henley was arrested in a sting operation after attempting to rob a an undercover sheriff's deputy of 33 pounds of cocaine. He was handed a 23-year sentence, putting his fast-rising empire on pause. Or so it seemed, because now, over 3 decades later, the feds are saying Henley never really left the game. They claim he just got smarter, more strategic, and more dangerous. And as LA was ravaged by the crack epidemic, Big U and the Rollin' 60s weren't just holding turf. They were expanding, setting up shop in cities like Chicago, Atlanta, and Minneapolis. The streets became a place for business, and business became blood. And somehow, in the middle of it all, Big U dipped into the music game, managing early careers, including West Coast staples like Charade, and eventually helping launch Nipsey Hussle's rise. To the public, he became the godfather of LA rap. To the streets, he was a legend. But behind closed doors, the feds say something far more sinister was always in motion. To the public, a Eugene Big U Henley was a reformed OG, the poster child for second chances. A former gang enforcer turned community leader, Big U built up a reputation as a man who'd put his past behind him. He ran a nonprofit called Developing Options, claimed to be mentoring young athletes and rappers, and was even seen organizing food drives, football camps, and neighborhood outreach programs. From the outside, he looked like the perfect redemption story. He was known as the man who could check you in or check you out, respected in boardrooms and feared in back alleys. Even his son made it to the NFL, drafted by their hometown team, the LA Chargers. And Big U, he was rubbing shoulders with celebrities, taking pictures with Drake, and appearing in podcasts where he preached about peace, loyalty, and community. But behind that smile and nonprofit paperwork, federal prosecutors say Big U never really left the streets. According to investigators, the same man who claimed to be pulling kids out of the streets may have been using his influence to drag others in deeper. But here's where things get even crazier. Despite all these jaw-dropping charges, Henley turned himself in, but only after making a video denying everything. In the video, he says he's just a guy trying to help his community, and that the charges are nothing but a setup. But federal prosecutors are painting a very different picture. They say Big U was robbing weed dispensaries that stopped paying him extortion money, defrauding donors, including big names like Draymond Green and Shaquille O'Neal, and funneling charity funds right into his own pockets. Imagine donating to a youth program just to end up funding a gangster's luxury lifestyle. That's wild. And wait, there's more. Big U's organization also reportedly received $2.35 million from the Gang Reduction and Youth Development Program, run by the LA Mayor's office. A program meant to reduce gang activity may have been funding it instead. Makes you wonder how deep this rabbit hole goes. Mayor Karen Bass's office says they've ramped up oversight in recent years, but it begs the question, how did this go on for so long? And just when you thought this story couldn't get any darker, here's the final blow. Eugene Henley Jr., the so-called rap godfather, turned himself in last month, and the charges, man, they're as heavy as they come. We're talking about everything from murder and robbery to wire fraud and pandemic relief scams. Yeah, you heard that right. COVID fraud, too. According to federal prosecutors, Big U wasn't just a street boss. He was running a full-blown mafia-style criminal empire out of South Central, built on blood, fear, and straight-up deception. Among the most chilling accusations, Henley is being tied to the brutal 2021 murder of aspiring rapper Rayshawn Williams, an artist once signed to Henley's own label, Unique Music. The feds say Williams recorded a track dissing Big U, and not long after, he was found in a ditch off Interstate 15 in Las Vegas. And if that's not enough, Henley also allegedly convinced big-name celebrities, such as Lakers legend Shaquille O'Neal, into donating to so-called charities, only to funnel the money straight into his own pockets. This dude wasn't just robbing the block, he was allegedly robbing the rich, too. It gets crazier. Henley allegedly filed a bogus COVID relief application, claiming Unique Music was booming with a $200,000 profit, when in reality, the label was bleeding money. All that just to grab a government bag he had no business touching. And let's not act brand new. Henley's no stranger stranger to prison walls. He already did a 13-year stretch after trying to jack 33 pounds of coke from an undercover sheriff's deputy back in '91. So if you think the feds just started watching him, think again. Now the question is, was this all part of a bigger plan? Could there be even more players involved that we haven't seen yet? And if Henley really is the puppet master behind this so-called Big U enterprise, how deep does this rabbit hole actually go? Hit that subscribe button for instant notifications on the next new video, because the truth remains exposed.